I'm in Margate manager Ben Greenhalgh after his side's 3-2 win over Broadbridge Heath. Ben, a topsy-turvy game again. You said you wanted to entertain here at home. Certainly done that again. What's your emotions after today's game?
Yeah, look, it's a bit of a roller coaster today, and I think for both teams, I think it was just so up and down, like the way the game was controlled. And look, I'm not really sure how to approach it, if I'm honest. But if I talk about the first half, because I thought we started really well. We made a couple of errors at times, and we were quite critical of each other. I was quite critical at half time. I felt like we could have done things a little bit better with the press, and when we got on the ball, I think we could have been a lot more composed. But I feel like it was ours for the taking. We had plenty of chances, and their first goal came out of nowhere. It was us hunting forward, and we looked brilliant. And then just sort of they rotated well, which we know they do, and we didn't engage well enough. And it was a good finish and great reaction. Within 2 minutes, we've gone down the other end and scored. And I think we just needed that little bit more to keep going. And I felt like we should have got more goals in that first half. And then, look, come out in the second half and very similar. Plenty of opportunities. Like Harry's had a couple of good chances where he's got himself in good positions. Ibs got himself in good positions and sort of ricocheted off defenders and things. And then what we've worked on, obviously, like Kane making that run from the corners. And we had one in the first half where it flashed straight across the box, and we thought someone's got to get on the end of it. Kane got on the end of it, and it felt like it was ours for the taking. And then obviously the emotional roller coaster kicked in from there.
I was going to ask you about that second goal for Broadbridge Heath. Obviously, off the pitch there was a lot of confusion. It seemed to have been given, then disallowed, and then obviously given again. You was in the centre of it, the epicentre of it all going on. Can you explain to us sort of what happened out there? Yeah,
look, firstly, there's an element of us where we had probably two players doing one job and one player might have been able to engage. But I said to the boys at the same time, if it's gone in, he's shot from 25, 30 yards. It's a great strike, absolute top corner. I probably felt it did go in. I think most fans are saying they felt it was over the line. But what I just can't get my head around is the linesman along the line has said it hasn't gone in. The referee has gone over, spoke to him. They've both agreed it hasn't gone in. We're ready to take a free kick. Then suddenly we're doing a sub. Lino hasn't even properly spoke to the ref. The liner from the opposite side has somehow said he thinks it's hit the tyre. And you just think, like, how can this guy over here overrule them two? And look, that's the roller coaster. That's what we dealt with. And look, we've had our complaints against the ref in the past. And look, to be honest, I think that's one. He was probably put in a predicament because he's got one liner saying one thing and the other liner saying another. And probably, I think you have to go with the liner along the line. But look, we kept going back at him. And I think there was an element after that for 10 minutes where we were so almost head lost that we were then frustrated with how we attacked. But brilliant bit of play with Harrison winning the ball, getting it to me and myself back to Harrison. He nearly scores, and then Joe obviously coming on and scoring the winner. What a moment for a 19-year-old.
And just on that moment there that you've mentioned the goal, obviously we spoke last week quite openly about how your team just won't give in regardless of the circumstances. We saw it again here today with another late winner. Lots of emotion in the crowd, obviously, but what a moment for Joe. Obviously he's come in sort of a little bit under the radar, shall we say, but he's taken his chance there, hasn't he? And that's what you knew he would bring.
Joe's a great player. He's a great player. I've coached him since he was 15 years old, and he actually played for Lewis as a 15-year-old in pre-season. So he was one that was with Tony Russell for years before, and sort of we managed to move him in with us, myself at Corinthians and Dartford, and he was a player that sort of wasn't working at Dartford in the end, and we've brought him in more as at this time as a number. If I'm being honest with you, I've always rated him as a player, but he has come in, and that's one thing I always say about the young players, and it's the same with Margate youngsters, same with the Capital Pro youngsters. If they come in, it's down to them to earn it. And do you know what I've always found in non-league, what they need to earn? It's not my respect. They've always got my respect. They can make as many mistakes as they want as a youngster, and I'll keep giving them opportunities in training. And first of all, how much do they want it? That's a big thing. He's been there every week. He's been there longer. He's been there every week, but desperate to have a go at it and turning up even when I'm not asking him to turn up. I think that's massive. The commitment levels, and that goes back to Martial Godo levels. He had that, and that's why he's at the top now, scoring in Europe. But I would more go with the likes of Joe is he's earned the players' respect. I think that's the hardest thing to do in non-league, and we've got a few older boys that probably aren't used to seeing so many youngsters, and we are very young as a squad in general. But he's earned the respect of the older players, and I've got players coming to me going, "Coy, there's something about him there," and they're doing that about other players as well. And that's one of the hardest things to earn. I think when I was younger, I managed to earn that, and that gave me so much confidence. because when you don't earn it and you get battered, it's tough to take, but it's a tough game, football.
Obviously, great for Joe to get the goal this afternoon, and we congratulate him on that. But in terms of your side's win, 3-2 today, going into Sittingbourne here on Tuesday night, just how, I know we were 5 games unbeaten before today, but how crucial was it to win today, going into what is a really tough fixture Tuesday, and the belief that win today will give you?
Yeah, look, it means you're not chasing. There's been games I feel like we're chasing wins. Like last week we were chasing a win because we felt like we'd done it against Beckenham, and we probably were chasing the win again today towards the end of the game, which we felt like we shouldn't have been in that position. But a very similar game where I think it was only ever ours to win. We're creating so many opportunities, and that's why I think people will say we are entertaining to watch. Don't get me wrong, we've got to start keeping clean sheets. We've got to do, and that's not just defenders. There's something, and there is a bit of bad luck to it when you look at today. One lapse of error, they've scored a good goal, and then they've scored from 30 yards as well, which might not have been over the line, we don't know. But I just think, in terms of the way we look like we're going to keep scoring, I think that's a really good habit to have. And you go to Sittingbourne, who aren't on as good of a run this year, but they're still a very strong team. So look, they're a team that we want to get points off at the end of the day, and look, I think everybody coming at home has got good buzz for at home performances, and I think in the form guide we're top 3, maybe even higher now in the home performances. So I think that's brilliant. We're back to that 2-point mark, and that's with, again, so many players still out.
Brilliant. Well done today.
Cheers, Ryan. Thank you.